we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. A pleasant afternoon to each and every one of you. Today is Marvelous Monday. It's another e learning week for every one of us. And welcome to another e learning session powered by Ariva Academy. So, our topic for today is Cultivate Psychology Safety for your virtual teams during difficult times. My name is Irish Malanda Samson, and I'm your host. Everyone, please welcome our moderator, Mr. Howell V. Mabalot. Hi, Sir Howell.
Hello, Miss Irish Malonda Samson. Am I getting across clearly?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear, sir.
You look beautiful as always.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Join me, Sir Howell, in welcoming our participants from out of the country. They are watching from Toronto, Canada, Vadodara, India, Chennai, India, Tuaran, Malaysia, Subang Jaya, Malaysia, Lalitpur, Nepal, Doha, Qatar. Thank you for joining us today. Singapore, Bangkok, Thailand, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, Dallas, Texas, and San Antonio, United States. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And in order for us to have a smooth flow of our e-learning session, here are the house rules. Let us know who are the first-time viewers of our webinar. Please type in hi in the chat box now. Let us know where you're watching as well so we can greet you. Who are the first-timers? Good afternoon also to Ms. Beeper Garcia. Thank you for joining us in our session. Okay, Florimel Ortega, good afternoon. Let's check in our YouTube channel. Hello, Ms. Mitch Mungkal. She is watching from San Pedro, Laguna. Hello to Lisa Flores as well. Ida Lee, Beth Carino, good afternoon, ma'am. Jeline Cruz, good afternoon, watching from Cavite. Okay. And timer, Miss Sharon. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for watching us today. So let's do our sound check. You will be needing a good quality headset. Please type in the following codes. Please type in 111 to show if you can hear us loud and clear. Okay. Okay. Melody 111. Johan Gomez. Thank you. Antonio, Cherry, Gina Lynn, Trisha, Uriel 111. Thank you so much. So meaning we're loud and clear and audible. Type in 222 if you cannot hear us or no sound at all. 2121 means the sound is breaking up or there's a log, and question mark if you don't understand anything. But so far, 111. Thank you, Miss Gina Marie Makatangay. Okay? Moving on, we will be having a quick break later after the presentation of our guest speaker and before we move on to our question and answer portion. For our question and answer guidelines, participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by the administrator during discussion to avoid interruptions. Questions will be entertained after each topic of the session. For questions and clarifications during the provided time after each topic, please click the raise hand button for the administrator to enable the microphone for live questions. Yes, later in the question and answer portion, we will entertain live questions from our Zoom participants. Type in your questions at the Q&A box. Again, at the Q&A box, not in the chat box. One question at a time will be entertained. Comments and feedback, please scan this QR code. This will be directed to our feedback form. Please send us your comments, suggestions, topics to discuss in order for us to improve our future e-learning sessions. And now, to discuss Cultivate Psychology Safety for your virtual teams during difficult times. Mr. Howell Mabalot, please introduce our speaker today.
Thank you, Miss Irish. Am I still clear?
Loud and clear, sir.
So I'll take advantage of this opportunity to do a special shout out for our VP, Michelle Abundo Munkal, Ms. Lizzie Flores, and Kuya Earl Flores. All right, and for all the Ariva Academy family, thank you for watching. Our speaker for today has been a human resource leader for 16 years before becoming a founder and organization development consultant of Breakthrough Catalyst. Her span of wide HR experience encompasses the Singapore civil service, multinational companies, and the private sector. She specializes in organization development, change management, leadership development, team psychology, safety, and workplace performance coaching. She is the only Asia Psychological Safety Facilitator by Academy of Brain-Based Leadership. Wow. And she will be taking us through the topic, Cultivate a Psychological Safety for Your Virtual Teams During Difficult Times. Everybody, put your hands together for Miss Jasmine Liew.
Thank you. Thanks, Howard. Thanks, Irish, and also Ariva Academy for this chance to do a live webinar right here in Singapore. I'm sure a lot of you are calling in besides Philippines, Singapore, and different parts of the world. It's of June and it's raining cats and dogs here in Singapore, but I see this as a positive sign. You might hear some thunderous applause, not from the screen here, but from the outside where it's raining cats and dogs. But thanks for coming here, and I think Ariva Academy did a great job to contribute this webinar as part of CSR efforts, especially these tough times of COVID-19. So I will share about this topic on Cultivate Psychology Safety for your virtual teams, with key focus on virtual teams, which most of us are working at home or leading at home during the difficult times. So I'll be sharing my slides now to all of you.
Sure. You may go ahead, Ma'am Jasmine Liew. Did I pronounce your name properly?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right.
Okay, great. Yes. I love your background. I love Singapore. I miss it.
Thank you. Yes, I also miss Philippines. So mabuhay to everyone. Yeah,
mabuhay to you.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Right. So I will share about psychology safety and how do we as leaders manage that or cultivate that with our virtual teams. So my organization is Breakthrough Catalyst, and I think now with this COVID-19, we ourselves has also achieved breakthrough as a leader or as an organization. Breakthrough is a breakweave from old ways of thinking and doing, and our past way of leading and managing people and organizations, how it's being run, may have changed. And I'm here to share this webinar with you, an hour and 30 minutes Q&A, as what Irish has said. Put your Q&A in the Q&A panel and not at the chat box, and we try to address them as well. I'd like to thank those who actually sent your prior questions to me, and I've included in the content as much as I can.
Good.
So what will be covered today will be first define what psychology safety for employees is a very huge term. So some of you may thought that it's related to psychology, but maybe we talk about the context in the work environment. And how is it important to have psychology safety for remote employees and virtual work teams, which will be a key focus, as well as the neuroscience and the brain fundamentals that drive our decisions and actions. Next, understand the safety domains that we all have in the work team. Lead your virtual team members effectively through the safety domains. And finally, a Q&A.
Good.
Right. So this report, it just came out in May by a US company, has shown some surveys being done, and employers are ready to reopen offices, but they recognize challenges ahead. Today is the last day of Singapore's circuit breaker. For some companies, I think in Philippines, they are also having a little bit of lockdown, working from home. And tomorrow we are going to reopen in Singapore. I think Philippines as well. So over 425 businesses in this US states took part in the survey. They actually found some kind of concerns. And through this survey, many companies are still holding back and still prefer their staff to work from home. So we shall do a poll now, a real-life poll in Asia context, especially with Philippines companies, majority over here. We're going to start a poll, and these questions will be posed by Howell, which is the work arrangement. So Howell, we're trying to share with them what's the poll questions.
Sure, ma'am, Jasmine. So to all our participants here at the Zoom room, choose one of the three that's been provided. Working arrangement due to COVID-19, will you choose A? We will allow employees to continue to work from home. Or B, we will stand by our safety measures and insist these employees come to the office, or letter C, unsure at this time. By the way, Ma'am Jasmine, today is what we call the general community quarantine, as our participants answer the question.
Sure.
Now, this is the first day where we can go back to our offices.
Today is the 1st of June. Okay,
today,
that's a great news.
1st of June, yes. And so we'll find out, this is going to be exciting, whether we're excited or not about us coming back to work.
with 130 people or companies, right? For
Yes.
Singapore, tomorrow is the first day of school. Our students has been at home for about 2 months. Yeah, and
We've
we are
been home
still
since March 15. It's 77 straight days, 78 days.
okay. Wow, that's great. So at this moment, 60% has voted, and you could see 80% still prefer the employees to continue to work from home. And 17% is stand by safety measures and insist they come to work. And still there's 5% that's unsure at this time. Right.
Yes. So let's show our YouTube viewers the result of the poll question number 1.
Yes. So we shall pause here.
77%. Yes, Ma'am
Right.
Jasmine.
That's very huge, 77%. And there is still some coming back, but with safety measures. Shall we save this poll for future research? I think this is a very good pulse check at this moment. So I'll move on and we shall stop the poll now. We can see the majority of you are still 77% allowing employees to work from home. Right. So we shall save this poll and move on to the next portion. All right, so let's just stop the poll. So offices may reopen, but as we can see, remote work is here to stay. It's inevitable. It's not something that we can reject or resist, but is the new norm, the reality. So does that mean your employee, they have the mental stress during this COVID-19, especially those that's working from home? Do they feel the social isolation and there's no connecting or connection with you as the leader of the team? So as the leader, looking at the statistics just now, 77% is still leading from your home. Your staff is working from home. Are you ready to lead differently in this new normal? First, you've got to understand our human brain. Since million years ago, our tribal brain is actually fighting for survival, to fight ourselves and protect our chances of survival against wild animals and other tribal groups. This is how our tribal brain evolves. And I'm sure every organizations or companies have workplace safety measures and acts to ensure that the place in the environment is safe to work, is conducive to work. The key thing is about safe. Our brain actually seeks from safety from the tribal times. Just like now with COVID-19, safe is a very important word. Just like earlier, you all mentioned companies have to ensure safety measures for the staff to come back to work. And to be safe, every country, every one of us in the world has started social distancing or wearing a mask. And to be safe, we have to work from home. So safety is such a key thing, and our brain seeks safety. Is psychological safety at your workplace important or not? Or have we actually neglected it? Or perhaps in the working teams with key focus on remote employees and virtual teams, psychological safety in fact play a greater part because you do not see them face to face. It's actually in the virtual screen. And next, how can we help our virtual teams and remote employees feel safe when they're working from home? So traditionally, and even now, we are always concerned about safety measures. But I think the next step forward is psychological safety at the workplace and even in the virtual world where we are leading and managing. So let's start about the father-employee engagement. It's a very hot topic. In fact, he started in 30 years ago. He's the father of this employee engagement, Dr. William Khan. In 1990, he wrote a research paper about the psychological conditions for personal engagement as well as disengagement at work. He defined engagement at work as employee bring his or her best full self at work. And there are 3 psychological conditions that enable it. Number 1, meaningfulness. Does the employee find the work meaningful to the organization and society? So that's the reason why I decided to support Ariva Academy, because it's really meaningful to do this. It's for CSR purpose to help the Philippines community in overcoming the COVID-19. Next, safety. Does the employee feel safe to bring their full self to work without risk of negative consequences? And third, availability. Do they feel mentally and physically able to harness their full self? So among these 3 psychological conditions, safety is already a key thing. And his recent interview in 2015, he mentioned that we as leaders have to treat our employees as true partners to have this continuous dialogue in improving our roles and work processes. And leaders have to make it safe in order for employees to speak openly about their experiences at work. So what is psychology safety in a team? Last year in ATD conference, I met Amy Emerson. You will know her very well. She's from Harvard Business School, where she did a research on psychology safety in the context of working teams. So what is psychology safety? It means that in a work team, everyone has a belief that no one will be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions and concerns, and even mistakes in the working environment. The team feels safe for interpersonal risk-taking, to be authentic, to ask questions and share. I still remember when I was in HR, many of our employees are very enthusiastic on the first day or even the first month of the job. Sometimes in the meetings, this newcomer will ask lots of questions and ideas or even share concern. But if a leader does not practice psychology safety, they will straight away ask more critical questions or even ask the staff that since you came up with the ideas, why don't you do it? Or even say, shut up, no, this is not a place for you to ask questions or give ideas. And that leads to psychological fear. So perhaps you may want to relate to your own experience when you are an employee at the times. What kind of leaders have provided psychology safety for you where you feel that you have the freedom to speak up and ask questions or share ideas or even mistakes, but you're not being punished for speaking up? So we shall do the next poll, and I'll invite Howell to lead this poll questions about what is psychology safety climate in your virtual team.
Thank you, Ma'am Jasmine Liew. And for our participants here in the Zoom room, please type in your answer or choose between or among three choices A, B, C, D, and E on what is the psychology safety climate of your virtual team. A, team members are very comfortable to questions, to share ideas, problems in the team openly. B, team members are comfortable to questions, to share ideas and problems in the team openly. C, team members may be comfortable at certain times to question, to share ideas and problems in the team openly. Or D, team members are not comfortable to questions, to share ideas and problems in the team openly. And letter E, team members do not post questions, share ideas and problems at all. We'll see the intensity of level of trust, feeling of comfort, and the idea of sharing openly their ideas about problems in the team. A, B, C, D, and E. Type in your answer now. So, Ma'am Jasmine, if I may ask you, as they type in their in the most recent seminars or webinars you conducted, what was which of the five was the most popular of the answers?
That's right. Actually, amongst all these five, B, and that was in Singapore, most of the Singapore companies, they mentioned B and C.
B is good. B is good.
And yeah, but I would say most are at C. They're comfortable at certain times, not all the time, right? And of course, there are some who's not comfortable. So we just
here,
the poll, and you want to share the results of the poll?
Yes, we have seen the results. So, Dr. Jasmine, it's B. Same with Singapore. In the Philippines, we are comfortable to questions, to share ideas and problems in the team.
Right, and followed by some that is comfortable at certain times. That's quite close. That's 25% and 17%
Yes.
comfortable.
And only 9% don't feel comfortable at all.
Yes, and I'm quite happy to know the last question. Only 2% felt that they do not pose questions or share ideas at all. Right, let's see.
We hope to hear from them later.
Great. So we shall save this poll and then let's move on to how can we create and cultivate this climate in the virtual space.
Exciting. That's exciting.
Right. So I'll stop the poll here. So I'm going to relate this to mental health at work because I see many questions about mental health. And I thought that is something that you can relate to. When there's a poor climate of team psychology safety, we're talking about teams, the mental health that will happen to you as a team member. Feeling alone working from home can cause social distancing and disconnecting. And it can be pretty depressing in the virtual work environment where you hardly have connection with your leaders in your team. unable to express your views and ideas or questions during this time because you're fearful that you'll be judged by your leader and your team and decided to just keep quiet, or you've been criticized and ridiculed before in your virtual meetings. So once bitten, twice shy, being shamed by a boss or team member, you decided not to participate anymore or ask questions, and this affects your self-esteem. Or perhaps there's a lack of emotional support from your leader and your team. The workplace in the virtual space can be very toxic, and that hinders you from being at your best at work. And lastly, I'm sure now with working from home, our life and our work is integrated. It does affect the quality of personal life where you so much daily virtual meetings and micro reporting to ensure that you are working from home and not resting at home. And lastly, not feeling appreciated or valued by your leader and teams. So Google did a recent research of 2 years across 180 teams. And what's the number one factor for high-performing team, which may also relates to virtual teams? Many of us think that high-performing team must be a great, inspiring leader, or they've recruited experienced, qualified team members, or perhaps they have very great goals, KPI setting, process, or even ensuring that things are done. But through their research, the number one factor is psychological safety. Before we talk about leadership, structure, process, KPIs, or resources, or people's capability, it's about the team members in the team. Do they feel safe to take risks and be vulnerable in front of each other? Or do they just keep quiet, do not ask questions, and do not share problems they face at work? So in Singapore, 2018, our Straits Times, our national newspaper, did also an article about getting staff to speak up actually boosts productivity. But a lot of leaders may think, giving my staff airtime to speak up doesn't waste more time. We've got to have long meetings. We cannot come up with a decision. And perhaps, it's a waste of time debating and having conflicts on what is the ideas that we should adopt. But through this paper, the research shows that the more comfortable the employee feel about speaking up, the more productive they are, because employees at different levels, they have real experience to share ideas and areas for improvement. And a sense of psychology safety among employees can help to handle disruptions in this rapid changing digital economy. So I'm going to share the research done by neuroscience, and this is based on the Academy of Brain-Based Leadership, linking psychology safety with our neuroscience. So these are the group of certified team debrief facilitators. We went through a very rigorous process, and currently I'm the only one in Asia certified in this program. And Dr. Dan, he's a neurologist. So I'm not a neuroscience trained, but through this program, I'm going to share with you some brain fundamentals that tell us about brain and our psychology safety at work. So this is another paper in 2004. It's pretty medical, but I'm going to dissect for you to understand why rejection hurts. There is our physical pain and our social pain. There is actually a shared pathway. If you look at this MRI scan, on the right and on the left shows a physical pain, and on the right shows a social pain. What it means that there's an overlap between physical pain when we experience bodily injured or hurt by someone, and a social pain when social relationships are damaged or hurt, are threatened, is actually a shared system. What it means here is that our physical pain and the social pain are all interrelated. Sometimes you can recall that physical pain comes about when you're being injured or hurt in a bodily reaction, but social pain could also make you feel unsafe, and that also can cause the kind of pain you have. So brain fundamentals from a neuroscience perspective from the MRI research shows that our brain will detect clues that is harmful to our survival, such as physical danger and social rejection. Since tribal times, that's how the brain works. When you have an attack on your psychological safety, that's where your brain triggers a stress response or even a coping mechanism to minimize the threat that you perceive. So how can we have this safety preference and understand about ourselves in the work? There are actually 5 domains. We all have the 5. It's a framework to talk about brain domains in a team and work context. Just that we do have preferred context. So safety means security, A is autonomy, F is fairness, E is esteem, T is trust. So there's 5 domains, and the last one, which is U, which I'll talk about that as well. Let's look at safety, our brain domains. If your preferred safety brain domain is being met, your brain will feel psychologically safe, rewarding, and motivating. On the flip side, if your preferred safety brain domain is not met, you will feel psychologically unsafe in your brain, triggered by stress and demotivating, as you can see from this compare and contrast of the person. So I'll cover the first, which is security. We have all the 5, as I mentioned. It's just that which 2 are our main preference, but it also means that your team member can be different from you. I just did a coaching with one leader, and during this COVID-19, this leader was very concerned and upset that why the staff is so slow and resisting to changes, when she sees that we need to get things done fast and quick. But to this staff, my leader thinks that change is very easy. This is unfamiliar to me. I've never done this before. Doing a different role, task is difficult. There's no clear directions and certainty. Do you hear these complaints from your team members at this time, whereby they want certainty, but yet you can't give any answer? Or perhaps with this very fast changes, even in Singapore, some of our employees in a particular department have to help another department during this time where they need more resources. Or even in Singapore, we have deployed manpower across different companies, whereby one company, they don't need, just like in the airline industry, they don't need so much manpower, but they've deployed them to another organization or another department. So perhaps you hear this kind of triggers from the staff. And why is that so? There's nothing wrong with them because their brain craves for security. Security is a brain need in our brain that's rewarding, is something that is safe in the environment, is predictable, and the change is threatening to the brain if there's no clarity, consistency, and certainty. So that's the first aspect of security. The next brain preference for yourself, and when I'm going through this as a leader, you can also think through, do you behave in this way? Do you like this kind of preference? And is this rewarding for you in your brain or not? Autonomy. Now, some of the leaders and members, employees may prefer autonomy. I have some participants in my training. They told me that during this time, my boss became a micromanager leader. Partially working from home, leaders may not know what is the best way to lead. And situations may come about whereby my boss is breathing down my neck. I have to be virtual throughout the day, my webcam on to ensure I'm working. I must reply my emails fast and follow my boss' way of doing things. I cannot come up with my own ideas. And there's a lot of micro reporting and micro tracking. Do you feel that as an employee, or are you also doing that as well as a leader? Now, if you yourself as a leader feel that way, this is one of the situations that happened. One of my participants, as a leader, she liked autonomy. So she gave the staff a lot of autonomy. Right? She doesn't really give them any directions, but give them something to do. But perhaps for us, our staff may also want that kind of autonomy, and their choices in the brain is having choices in making decisions, how things are done. And the lack of choices and self-control or lack of control decreases the engagement level of a team member. So perhaps some of your team members, they don't want security, they want autonomy from you, giving me choices. The next domain that makes us feel rewarding for some of us is fairness. And that's me. I have very high in fairness. Before I did this certification, I always wonder, why am I so upset and affected me when I feel that things are not fair? So I'll share my own personal experience is my case. In HR, sometimes I get very affected and demotivated. I believe in work principles, values, and standards to be fair and to guide me in all my decisions. And when I see things are not being done this way, I get very demoralized. People who enjoy fairness wants to make decisions, and they felt upset when decisions are made without consultation, and everyone should have a voice in the process. So perhaps in these virtual teams, have you seen any of your team members feeling upset and unsafe when they do not have a voice to speak up or be part of the decision-making process, or being consulted and ensure there's fairness and equality or consistency? So the brain craves for fairness because we want to see ourselves and others in the team to be treated fairly by the leader. So when I was in HR, it's not just myself to be treated fairly. I feel very rewarded in my brain when I see other people in the team, or even how employees are being treated fairly. So the team members feel very unjust. You may even hear some of their complaints, and when you share with you, this is so unfair, this is not right, there's no level of communication, they're being left out, there was no transparency or involvement to get everybody involved. And that means this person's crave a lot in their brain for fairness. The next is esteem. What is esteem? Esteem means that in your team, some of these members want praise and recognition, and they may like the limelight or the spotlight. Hence, if they do not have praise and recognition, they get very stressed because they don't get it from a leader or from a team. So how do we look for esteem? It's how you compare yourself to others, and how you think others will view you. So the brain is rewarded when you regard yourself highly as compared to others, or when you think others think highly of you, and that is esteem. The next thing I'm talking about is trust. Trust is back to your own teams and look at your current team members now. Is it birds of the feather flock together? Are they homogeneous, or are they diverse in terms of age group, in terms of values, strengths, and even different countries? There's also this saying, opposite attracts, just like couples, right? So in your team, are they mostly birds of the feather that flock together, homogeneous, or they are more heterogeneous, where they are very different in their views, personalities, background, and age group or experience? So people who have high need for trust means that friends and foes are very important. Friends means that these are people in my in-group. We share the common interests, values, and likes, and we can talk about. And foes are in the out-group. So in a work relationship, we can still work together as foes, but it could be transactional, not deep. It's just get the things done and that's it. Or perhaps even in the teams, the out-group, you do not really see eye to eye in many decision making, and you find that this person don't seem to cooperate or help you to get things done. So actually, people who have strong needs in their brain for trust means that there are team members that they like and dislike, and this do affect them. We are all social animals, and we crave for social needs. So people with high trust as a safety domain means they thrive in workplace where people in the team are similar to them at work, because that increases their sense of belonging and inclusiveness. So look at your team now. If there are more team members that belong to the out-group in a diverse team, would that affect your team members' collaboration? That means most of them see themselves as out-group, but they will still get things done. They're still part of the team in terms of job title or department, but you just felt that most of the time there will be certain people that feel they're out-groups. The last is you. This is not out of the 5 domains, but you means that you has a chance to actually change. So from these safety domains, from the neuroscience research, we actually discover what is your brain preference, and you have a better self-awareness, like what will reward you. And of course, if that reward in the brain is not taken away, it can be triggering you and creating stress, disengagement, and demotivation. Like earlier I mentioned, my highest brain preference is fairness. It can be rewarding for me, but when there's low fairness, it became a trigger point for me. So leaders and team members can have psychology safety to take interpersonal risks, to share about the brain preferences. It's not a bias or pigeonhole, but talk about how each of us have our brain preference, and this brings more clarity in terms of how we communicate and get things done to clear miscommunication as well. The team can be more aware. And it's very powerful in the virtual teams. COVID-19 is not going to end soon. Even today's newspaper, they talk about WHO. It's going to be sometime, we do not know when. So virtual teams, remote teams is going to be part and parcel of our organization and as leaders. So how can we be more using the safety domains to help us to connect and not be affected when you as a leader and employee do not see eye to eye in certain things? Just like I mentioned, all of us have the 5 domains: safety, and also autonomy, fairness, esteem, and trust. So from this profile that we did, we actually get every employee and leaders to do. For instance, this could be a leader. You can see the highest score is 7.4. So he values a lot of inclusiveness. And the second highest is fairness. And the third is autonomy, 6.4. So we usually look at the first 2 and 3 to understand which are the top 2 or 3 brain preferences you have. So a leader that I coach, she has very high autonomy. So that's why she thought that since my brain 5 autonomy is rewarding, I also treat my staff the same. I don't really give them much instructions. They should know what to do. I just tell them these are broad ideas, this is a timeline, and I expect these results. But the staff with very high security will get very stressed because my boss is not communicating with me and things is so easy to be done. It's so unpredictable and uncertain. And for someone who made decision without including anybody or making others feel safe, the person with high fairness will felt threatened and disengaged. And again, if a leader do not value esteem, they may not give recognition and praise openly or freely. The staff who wants esteem needs may felt neglected. So from here, knowing each other's preferences, we can take the interpersonal risk-taking even at a higher level. So what I usually do is, based on the brain safety domains, I will always ask the team what is similar and different between the leader and the team members and amongst the team members. And how can we actually complement and collaborate rather than seeing things differently? What are the strengths and how can we complement each other? And perhaps also identify some sources of current and even future conflict so that we can do something about it. At least now we know what makes me so upset and triggered is not because it's that person. Rather, we all, our brain crave for safety. And we all have different safety domains in us as our preference. Next, how can we improve our virtual team psychological safety? Maybe in the work teams, it's easier because we see each other face to face, body language straight away, you will know what to say, how to say, and when to say. But in the virtual team, it's a bit more challenging. By knowing our team psychology safety, we can start to protect and nurture each other's safety needs. And we become more sensitive to our safety drivers and triggers. As I mentioned in the earlier slides, from the neuroscience research, physical pain and social pain, in terms of social rejection, where you felt threatened and safety domains are being triggered, they all fall in the same brain pathway of pain. Next, appreciate the safety perspectives of every team members, because it doesn't mean that an employee who thinks different from you is because they just do not see eye to eye, but now you understand that we all crave for safety and there's nothing wrong, and just that the brain fundamentals and domains are different. This promotes openness and interpersonal risk-taking in the virtual space where we can share ideas, ask questions and opinions, and even feel safe to speak up our problems. I think in Asia, we tend to be afraid to speak up our problems. We felt that we could be judged, or we want to have self-preservation from our leader or team members that we are good, we have no problem. And this kind of psychology and safety will lead to a lot of issues that is undercurrents and things are not being done. Finally, we can harness the strengths of the safety, diversity of the team to build high-performing teams and value-creating teams. As done by Google Research, the number one factor for high-performing team is not the leader, it's not the team members' expertise alone, but experience is psychological safety. That is the main fundamental climate. So these safety domains, some key takeaways for this webinar. Those who are keen, email me and I will be able to send you a complimentary safety profile that for you to identify amongst the 5: security, autonomy, fairness, esteem, and trust, which is your highest preference. And I'll be able to do a coaching session with you to identify and understand more about these safety domains and how have you faced any challenge working in your team members who has different safety domains from you. And of course, Ariva Academy for bringing this opportunity to be here from Singapore live virtual space. I think that creates such a huge breakthrough. We don't need to be here physically anymore at this moment. Psychological safety as the key to high performing and value creating teams. You can contact Ariva Academy for virtual programs that I can do under Team Safety Workshop for the organizations in Philippines. I decided to save more time for Q&A. I think that is more interactive and something that you're sure want to know at this moment. But the context will be on psychological safety. Right, so I hand over to Howell.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Jasmine Liew. Everybody put your hands together.
Thank you. Wow. Silence applause. Okay, also few virtual applause. Yes.
So happy. 40 minutes of intense, highly informative workshop. And you know what? I have a lot of takeaway already in a matter of 40 minutes. I love that you want us to be more aware of safety. And the acronym safety, security, autonomy, fairness, esteem, trust, and you will be very useful. And this is current. This is timely. And this is what we need, especially in times when people now are uncertain and are unaware of what will they'll be getting when they come back home from work today, being the first day of work here in NCR. So again, thank you, Ma'am Jasmine Liew. Okay.
I'd like to make one important announcement. I think this webinar is pro bono, even myself. But I think we give the donation for the purpose of the fellow Filipinos who are in survival mode during this difficult period. So I think Ariva has posted that on the chat box. So feel free to give some contributions. Yeah.
And we will follow your example for doing it pro bono, doing it for free. Then we will do something and give something for free in return. So don't you go away, everyone. We'll pause for a 2-minute break. And what will happen is that during 2 minutes, Ma'am Jasmine Liew will maybe grab a bite or sip a cup of coffee while you in the Zoom room can type as many questions as possible related to psychological safety. I'm so excited already. And when we return, if the first part has been very exciting and informative, I believe the second part will be even more. So don't go away. We'll be right back. We promise.